This is the Night Owls Disc Golf Podcast. I'm Shane.
And I'm JP.
And we have Josh Hofstra. Did I say that right, Josh?
That is correct.
All right. So if those of you that may not know, I mean, if you watch the YouTube channel, I'm assuming that's you, Josh, that's out front there.
That's me. I'm the big bald guy at the center stage of those videos.
There you go. So Josh is from Lone Star Discs. So you hear us on the podcast all the time talk about Lone Star. And because in the shop, they've gone crazy. Like everybody just, and it started with the penny putter. Brilliant idea, by the way, Josh. I don't know if that was your idea or not, but it worked fantastically. And then as we started to pull the whole line in, they just went like, we're on our third separate order in such a tiny little disc golf shop, you know, and we're just pushing these discs out like crazy. So I felt behooved to reach out to you and see if we could just have a good conversation with you, especially after seeing your impact at Worlds and all the advertisement and media and all that stuff that you did.
Yeah, really visual.
I appreciate that, guys. And I think that's the big thing that I'll first start off saying is it sure takes a village. Fortunately for me, it's not just me. The penny, for example, I've only been with the company for the past, what did we say? My first day was October. It was Halloween, actually. My first day was Halloween last year. And since then, we went from 800 likes on Facebook to now tomorrow, I believe we should hit 10,000.
Oh, wow.
That's fantastic.
Which is super cool. So they've entrusted me, they being the Dillard family, entrusted me to be somewhat of the face of their company to help push it to the next level and promote it on social media. The penny putter, like you just mentioned, actually comes from one of the granddaughters of one of the owners. Her name is Penny, and then Travis, another owner, the son of said owner, was stationed on the USS Lincoln. So naturally, we had to make a penny putter disc. It's super cool where some of these disc names actually come from.
That's a cool connection. That's a really cool connection.
It is, and it keeps that small family feel. You know, I mean, I think that's some of the stuff that most disc golf companies are started that way, but I think it's just lost in translation because people are trying to come up with the next cool, fun name, and there's no depth to it, you know. So, but before we get into Lone Star, I want you to kind of recap what you said to us about, because you had mentioned that you're a streamer, you had a streamer set up, and I was like, we're pretty old school, we'll just do it over the phone. And you were like, okay, that's no problem either. So what do you stream? And then I guess that rolls into how you got into disc golf, if you go over that.
Yeah, so I first started streaming on Twitch back in early 2020, right when COVID hit. Didn't have anywhere to go, didn't have any outside hobbies. I was in the automotive sector on the performance side, so if I wasn't driving a car, I was pretty much sat behind my computer, and I had built part of my PC out to handle streaming capabilities, and I just started. A lot of my friends had said that I'm entertaining to play with, and so I figured, why not stream Call of Duty? It was huge at the time. I mean, 2020, COVID, massive. And so I was telling you guys that it gets pretty lonely seeing the same four walls for hours on end. You get done working from home, see the same four walls. Go to the stream, make a little bit extra money, same four walls. And so I actually moved up to Conroe mid-2020, which is where Lone Star is based out of, and we were walking a creek. I am not a creek guy, right? I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago initially and moved down here. And so the first ever creek that I walked down, I'm like, all right, let me get bit by a snake. I'm in Texas, this sucks. And so we actually walked upon a bunch of premium plastic distance drivers that people had duffed off into the lake at a local hole, McDade Hole 4. And we found these discs, and I was like, what are these? And I was like, I think I used to play disc golf. And my brother goes, yeah, I used to play disc golf like a year or two ago. You know, this is a course right here. We should go play. And that was, I think, the very next weekend. I played my first ever round. I shot like 38 strokes over par, but I was just ecstatic to get out there and throw since I'd grown up around Ultimate Frisbee.
Oh, okay. Ultimate background.
Yeah, so, well, I didn't play it right. It was more like, hey, guys, let's go throw the Frisbee. And, like, every family event was grab the whammo and let's go outside and just chuck it at each other. So
Sure. So let's backtrack a little bit. You said cars. You were into performance side of cars? So what's that?
Yeah, so I was actually, I was going to say I was the face of, just like I'm the face of Lone Star, as people put it, is I was that for another company called Pro Speed Autosports. We actually held the record at one point in time for world's fastest Dodge Viper, Cadillac CTS-V, and Chevrolet Corvette, all from one shop. It was really cool.
Oh, dang.
That's fantastic. So My very first company, actually, while I was in college, I owned a company called Sit and Sick Performance. So what it was a suspension company specifically geared towards Toyota Tacoma X runners, and it grew from there.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, but I did monoleafs, coilovers, just basically anything suspension with it, and it was the old school R&D. I sent it out to IBOC or Barber Coil or whoever it was, had them make it, send it back to me, and said, "Well, I don't like these. I need them a little higher PPI or whatever it would be." So it's kind of my background. Well, when I say background, that was the first company that I ever owned, and just I enjoyed it thoroughly. But man, there was no money in it because my truck was really nice.
Oh yeah, no, I went from being a tuner, which I was an educator for a school called the Tuning School out of Odessa, Florida, and I taught adults how to modify the ECU on their car from start to finish. It was super cool, super fun, and that was the last job that I had in the automotive sector leading up to disc golf. I kind of realized halfway through, Odessa is just outside of Tampa, Florida. Shout out Local Route Disc Golf, who has 35,000 discs in stock. So I would fly in, buy used discs from Local Route, and then I would go play the local courses and then fly back to Houston and sell whatever I didn't want. It was really fun.
Oh,
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, local Route's one of those shops that you walk into and you almost get lost. Like the amount of discs they have is incredible.
When I tell you the hours, and I mean, like, I would literally, so I could choose my flights in, right? So we'd be teaching the class on the weekends, and then I was also running their sales and business development department, just like I do for Lone Star. And so I would go, okay, so I'm choosing my flight, yeah? And I go, okay, so I'm going to cover my hotels on Friday and Saturday, and then from Sunday to whatever day, right? We'll have the tuning school covered. They go, why are you flying in 2 days early, like vacation? I'm like, you could say that. I would literally spend like 6 to 8 hours just going through all the shelves. And, Trevor and I, Trevor Tonez and I we'd hang out. We'd just, hey, Josh, what's up, man? What do you think about our layout? So shout out to those guys. They've been making huge moves as well. And Trevor's a good friend of mine.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and with all the water at Cliff Stevens, I mean, the amount of used discs that come in there. I mean, I saw a guy that basically dedicated his life to searching those ponds every day. It was incredible.
Yeah, they have an interesting setup over there between the two courses that they're at, where there's quite a few. What do they call them? The people that basically dive in the water to get discs.
Yeah, disc dogs. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, all right, okay, sure. If you want to come bring some used discs, that's fine, but they do a good job of trying to get them back to people. So. Yeah,
they do. So, all right, so sorry, a little tangent there, but so what is your position at? And what do you do? I mean, you already kind of mentioned it, but how did you get hooked up, or how did the story all come about with Lone Star?
Man, it's super cool. So when I initially started with them, it started off as a part-time gig. So I actually moved from automotive to real estate simply to make more time to play disc golf. Like I would get off at 4:30 every day from the automotive stuff, and I would go, dang it, all the minis start at 5, and I don't have enough time to make it to the course and warm up before the mini. So I was like, all right, I switched to real estate, got my real estate license, and so I started making just like streaming content. I started making YouTube videos because I've always been good with video editing and stuff. I used to do the videos for all the performance shops I used to work at. And Terry, the owner of Lone Star, one of the owners of Lone Star, comes to me or goes to the person that was working there at the time and says, hey, get this kid. I want him to make videos for us as like an underground channel. And so I started a YouTube channel called Huck with Hofstra. And I did like a 6-minute video breakdown on Lone Star's glow and why it's the best and, why it helps us disc golfers in the wintertime. And from there, Terry actually saw how good my videos were, gave me a solid thumbs up. For a man of very few words, that's huge. And basically said, hey, if you want to come on full time, I'll make a way to bring you on. And since then, I've taken over business development and marketing are my two main focuses for the company, but that encompasses every aspect. So I tell people a lot of the time, my job title says this, but I'm more so the front half of the mullet. So anything you see that website or, sales, or I currently manage the team, we're all going to kind of hand those responsibilities off as the year goes on into 2023, but that's what I handle right now for the company.
Okay. So you're the business when everybody else is partying in the back.
Yeah, see when you feel like that, I get in trouble because
Yeah.
don't do any respect here, and they go, no, that's not what I meant.
Yeah.
I meant, like everything you see, right? When they're looking at the company, what you see on the front side, that's what I touch.
That was funny because I was going to say who's the back half of it. If you're the front,
Man,
who's the
so this is the cool part is like it honestly gets to be. So it's me. I'll give you a breakdown real quick. So it's me and the Dillards as like kind of the main bodies of the company, right? And so I handle all the front end stuff, business development, getting new shops signed up, want to say obviously thank you so much for carrying our product. I'm glad that it's doing well in your stores. We went from this year, it's funny, we went from this year going, hey, your guys' plastic is too expensive, nobody knows who you are, to, wow, your guys' plastic is so affordable for how well known you are. And I go, What happened? Like overnight, we're just booming in success. But so it's me, the Dillards. So you have Terry, who's the big boss. I call him. He's the dad. Barb is the wife. She runs our shipping and handling department. She's an angel. You've got Travis, St. John, and Brittany, who are all brother and sister, who manage different aspects of the company, whether it's operations or graphic design or the molding process itself. Each of them has a hand in that. And then we have an area that I like to call the war room, which is where we all sit down together. What we're able to accomplish in 24 hours time as a company is a week's worth of time at any other business, simply because we all work so closely together. For example, today I set up 3 professional touring contracts. I filmed a video for our new putter release, the Blue Bonnet. I brought the pros up to get their blue bonnets and then to film, then edit, then had a business meeting where we hired another employee after the lunch, and then I came back, edited the rest of the video, and then left. So
that's fantastic.
That's crazy. Done in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So Lone Star as a company, from what I understand, was not the parent company, or the original is not a disc company, correct? They're an injection molding platform for oil rigs. Is that the truth?
Yeah, so Lone Star Molding, the parent company, is actually where we're based out of. I have a sweet little office door sticker that I had them put on for our war room, and so we're based inside of that company currently.
Okay.
It's actually pretty cool because Terry and the Dillards, the rest of them, started Lone Star Molding from the ground up out of their garage. So the same exact way that they started Lone Star, which is, hey, we're just going to do it. We know we have the tools. We know we have the knowledge. We've got everything here that we need. All we need is each other. Started up Lone Star Molding and became insanely successful over a couple of months. Actually, it wasn't even a long time for them on the molding side. And they run oil field valves, seals, gaskets, and it's the same plastic that you get from our discs. So that all started because St. John and Travis approached Terry, their dad, and said, Dad, 2020, right, 2019, 2020, there's downturn in the oil field. Can we please make a disc? And we let them make a disc. And it turns out that the first disc was kind of crude and insanely understable. And so they turned that disc into, modified it to be the Mockingbird.
Oh, cool.
And the MIDI. And so the first 2 molds that were made, a local pro, David Hemmeline, actually threw one of those molds and fell in love with it and said, can you make me like 1,000 of these? And so that was the first ever like production run, was made out of this oil field grade plastic, the same super high grade plastic we use to this day. Our plastic doesn't beat in like everybody else's does because it's such a high grade.
Yeah.
Which some people don't like, but for me, I'm like, hey, if it's going to fly this way forever, I'm cool with that.
No, I've been throwing the Lariat for half a year or so. Man, not that long, maybe about 3 months. And I mean, I was at Ledgestone with it, and Northwoods Black beat those discs up pretty good. They are trustworthy. I know exactly what it's going to do when it comes out of my hand. It's fantastic, and it hasn't changed. So, yeah, kudos to that.
Yeah,
and that's Go ahead.
Sorry about that. I was going to say that's a big selling point for me, at least. I was a big, I won't name the brand, obviously, because I don't want to slander anybody, but I come from another company where I loved their plastics so much, but after like 3 rounds at my favorite course, I had to learn the disc all over again because it beat in way too quick. And I was going, well, I bought the disc because it flies like this. I didn't buy it because I wanted it eventually to fly like this.
Right. Yep.
So it's a huge selling point for Lone Star.
Yeah, we're not bashful on this podcast. We know that plastics beat in I mean, Innova's infamous for that. You know, it's a different disc when you first put it in your hand compared to what it beats into. And, you know, you go through, I mean, every brand has their issues in that regard. But for the most part, as far as break-in issues, I haven't seen that with Lone Star yet. Now, I know a bunch of the guys in the shop and around the area, a lot of them like the MIDI and the BB6, and there's a couple of them that they're really enjoying. And then we're also just ecstatic to try the Tombstone that's coming out. So I spent about the last 48 hours inputting discs into the computer. And the reason why is because you have so many different plastic types. So give us the rundown of why so many and why so quick.
Yeah, so this is a very frequently asked question, is we started off with 8 molds in December. And they came to me in December and said, Josh, the reason why we hired you is because in 2023, we're going to release 20 molds, essentially, right? 12 plus molds, so we'll have a 20 plus mold lineup. And I said, holy crap, okay, how are we going to do that? And the whole reason behind that is, number one, we wanted to be able to have plastic for our pros to fit in their bags. So we started off this season as a mixed bag company, and next year we will officially be able to go 100% full Lone Star bags for all of our pros. The other side of that is, in a growing market full of demand, we had a lot of people going, hey, I don't want, for a penny putter, I don't want an understable or straight flying putter. I want something inherently overstable and beaded. And we listen to our customers, right? The guys that are out there throwing the plastic are the ones that love our brand. So, hey, here's a Jackrabbit. The first disc that we released was a Jackrabbit. January. We go, all right, you've been asking for a putter, right? Putter is the most used disc in your bag. You're going to use it 18 out of 18 holes. Unless obviously you throw it in, which congratulations. Right?
Or you lose it. Yeah.
So we made a new putter, and then we made the Armadillo, and the Armadillo and Jackrabbit have been a huge staple in our lineup. And we said, okay, and we kept going. Well, doing marketing, I got pretty smart at this, and we would go, okay, what are people calling for in the comments? Or we would make a post like, what do you think our next mold is? And people would go, your next mold is going to be a 9.5, -1.1. And we go, okay, Larry, it's the next one. Make, right? And then you go, all right, we have 5 machines in-house. We have a myriad of plastics to choose from. So all it takes is designing the mold in-house, creating the mold in-house with our CNC machine, testing the mold with whatever plastic we want it to be in, and then releasing it to the public. And that can all be done in a matter of 3 to 4 weeks for us.
Holy, that's quick turnaround.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So
that's exactly why I've been able to grow so fast.
That's
so
great.
what you said, testing plastic with the molds, like once you get that mold and the disc is formed, like how do you have to make, like, what kind of tweaking are you making to the disc? Like, do you know, like, okay, this is definitely this speed, this turn, whatever, like the Lariat, for instance. I mean, who's testing it, and then how fast can you make tweaks to it?
So that's the best part is, for example, I'll give you one, the Ranger. The Ranger is actually the best disc we've ever made. In everyone's opinion that works there, it's our favorite disc because it flies so pure. You can just crank on it. No matter how hard you throw it, it does the same flight every time. Fast or slow, right? And that disc was born out of trying to make the Walker.
Okay.
So if you notice, we've actually created a family of discs with the Walker, the MIDI, and the Ranger. They all look the same. They all fly similarly. And they all have a very similar lip at the very top, whereas the MIDI has no bead on the bottom to, again, all the science behind it. But in creating those discs, in trying to create the Walker, we found the Ranger, right? So the same way like making the Warbird, we created the Tumbleweed. So we tried to make the Warbird, and we said, hey, one of our prototypes that we made turned into this other mold. Save that the way that it was, create Tumbleweed, continue to chip away at this mold with our CNC machine where we're taking away material in certain areas or doing whatever, and then we move on to the next one where you go, okay, now the Warbird flies perfectly. We've also created this perfect roller disc that's a 10-speed in the process. So it's all trial and error. I think everybody on the planet who's ever gone to make a disc you can make it as close as possible, right?
Mhm.
But you're still going to have to make minor adjustments, right? I don't think, just like in the tuning world, right, with cars,
Yeah.
anybody can be a tuner. You can sit anybody down at a computer and they can tune a car so that it runs right. But certain people can go in and they can get close, but they still have to do minor touches. That's Terry.
Mhm.
Terry, the owner, is the mad genius behind all this. He sits down, he creates the lariat mold, and he goes, hey, I made a mold that's like the Mad Cat, but it's narrower, so it's not as overstable. So it should fight right for a little bit, but it will fade back at the end of its flight.
Mhm.
Viola, and we're there. Like,
Yeah.
Yep.
he's the genius behind all of that. So if it wasn't for Terry, we wouldn't have a lot of the molds that we've created in-house. So very thankful for him and his brain on that side of things.
And that's really cool because like being such like a fresh company that you're going out with this intention of making this mold and then maybe something doesn't turn out and you're like, well, we just created another mold that we can turn around and sell, right? Like you have those gaps that are just kind of filling in along the way, whereas like you just don't have the intention. And you're like, oh, we gotta scrap this, you know?
Right.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever had to scrap a single mold we've made because it's always made something usable. Like for example, I'll go back to the story on the Ranger. We're making the walker, right? I show up to work. Today's the day. The sun is shining. You know, the mold is here, and I'm gonna get to throw the walker. Finally, we have a big overstable mid-range, and I walk up to work, and Travis comes out and he goes, "Josh, you got to throw this disc." And I said, "No, I know it's gonna be awesome. I love overstable mid-range." He goes, "No, throw this disc." And I threw it, and it had the most pure line in the world. And I said, what happened? We wanted the overstable. Like, I'm not mad at that, but what happened? And they said, we just made the perfect 5-speed disc.
Yep.
And it turned out to be the Ranger. You just go, man, like, what is it? Necessity is the motherhood of invention. So the necessity was we need to create a mid-range that was torque resistant, right, but still stable. And what we made is a torque resistant flippy mid-range, which is perfect. Well, flippy, quote unquote, right?
Yeah.
It turns a little to the right, but you can put as much torque on it as you want.
And it won't dump.
And it holds right for a little and always fades back. It's perfect.
Yep.
And that wouldn't have happened if we weren't trying to make the walker. And then the walker was easy. You just add beef to that disc and you're done.
Yep. That's awesome. And I think it's something that is fascinating to me because that's kind of like we talked about the auto parts. That's kind of how it was for us. We just said, okay, this is what we're going to do. Yep. And this is what I want to see. We're getting a little too much bounce in the back end or whatever it is. And we would just play with things like that. And that's kind of sounds like what's happening here. Like, hey, we're just getting a little too much turn or it's too dumpy or whatever it is. But man, this disc fits a slot. So let's go ahead and keep this one. So basically what you're doing is you're sharing the top side of the MIDI, the Ranger, and the Walker is all the top half of the mold is the same and the bottom half is what you're tweaking then, huh?
Yep, exactly. So we're basically taking a similar shape and a similar feel. So again, this is, sneak peek at some of what our future molds are. Is if you look at the missing parts of our lineup, we're trying to create families. So a penny putter is a Ranger, is a Lariat, is a curl. If you notice that. So we've got a 3-speed straight, a 5-speed straight, a 9-speed straight, and an 11-speed straight. So we're trying to find those pockets where we're just missing the molds, right, for the speed. So one day we'll probably release a 7-speed that flies right between a Ranger and a Lariat because it's a pocket that's missing. I want to be able to have people go, I want to throw a jackrabbit like 100 feet farther. And I can go, great, go grab a MIDI. And they go, really? And I go, it's the same flight, but longer.
Okay.
And so when you create families like that where they have the same top or they fly similar, like, making the penny putter or making the jackrabbit, now we have an understable top or an overstable top, or we can kind of work with that and then adjust the bottom shape of the disc. Innova did this a lot when they were creating the Destroyer. They tried to make the Destroyer, and I think they ended up with the XCal and the what is it?
Oh, I know the Shrike.
12-speed they have.
I know the Shrike they brought.
I think it's the Shrike. Yeah, and you're just like, okay, so because they tried to make this one disc, they ended up making 6 or 7 at the same time, and you go, wow, that's great. We didn't go that far, right?
Yeah.
7 that time.
Yeah.
So we ended up pretty good, right, with just maybe one, right? But it has been truly a blessing to see and have the ability to mold everything in-house, right? 5 machines. MVP alone only had 2 machines in 2020. So the fact that we have 5 really helps set us apart from other companies where at the flip of a switch, we can go, okay, I need 2 machines on, oil field stuff and 3 machines on discs to make this order for, say, NADGT national championships that are in a month. And you go, okay, easy, done. We'll have it done in a day, right?
Yeah.
Which is absolutely insane. It's unheard of at any company. I tell people all the time, Lone Star itself, the number one problem that we have is getting our name out there. Simply because every other problem is solved. They have a marketing guy and me. They have all the machines. They have a stamp machine out back. We have an excellent shipping facility. We have all the building space in the world to work with. So all we need is for people to pick up the plastic, and once they do, they're going to fall in love. It's like, it's easy, right? For us, there's no struggle for us because it's a family-owned business, right? Everybody is in it 100%. Everybody is goal focused. We're trying to produce the best plastic out there, right? Everybody at the company plays disc golf or loves discs, right? We actually have a problem with this because every time we make a new mold or we have like a cool swirl in the plastic, everyone will stop in the shipping department and go, everybody come look at this. We all run over to that person, right?
Or battle to test it. Yeah.
Yes, it's true. Like, it's truly a blessing to work at a company where everyone is on the same page and everybody has the same goal, which is to create discs that are fun to use and that honestly are competitive, because at the end of the day, somebody said, explain your job poorly. And I said, I market children's toys to competitive adults. Right? Where it's like we're all just a bunch of grown-up kids who are like, well, I can throw my disc better than you can throw your disc. And you're like, oh, yeah?
Exactly.
Well, my disc has a skull and a cowboy on it, and it flies way cooler than yours does. And you go, all right.
Yeah, and that's one thing I got to say. I don't know who the designer is in-house, but your stamp game is on point. I love
appreciate that.
The stamps. They're fantastic. And
yeah, so I mean, it's a big part of that is St. John does all the stock stamps, right? So he did the Mad Cat and the Penny Putter and all that stuff. And then we kind of had a stroke of genius, and we said, hey, let's do an artist series competition. We've got people that are interested in the plastic, and through that artist series, I think we now have 6 or 7 artists on payroll.
Oh, wow.
Or when a disc releases, we can reach out to them and basically showcase their talent. So one of those guys I want to shout out is the Ranger disc. Cody Dresser is actually a anime tattoo artist in Dallas.
That's up Shane's alley.
Very nice.
Guy,
absolutely.
Yeah, he is insane. He does some awesome work. We have had a ton of other artists. Alicia Graham is an artist local here in Houston. She just made the curl stamp for us.
Oh, I saw that. That one's cool.
And again, truly a blessing to be a passion-driven company that has people surrounding us that want to be a part of it, because without them, we wouldn't be who we are and we wouldn't be able to do this at the highest level.
Yeah. So I have a question about raw materials. So I had a conversation with Dee, and they said, some of the issues that they're having, and I think across the board, basically for anyone, is sourcing raw materials, because in reality, disc golf is such a small fish in such a big pond that they're working through like the brokers of the brokers to source these raw materials, right? So is that kind of the same thing that's happening with Lone Star, or because of the production of your, oil rig portion of it, is that something where you guys have a better access and more consistent supply of raw materials?
You nailed it on the head. So we already have the to make it brief, most, if not all, of the other companies out there. Scott Stokely comes to me and he goes, your plastic's too good. And I said, what do you mean my plastic's too good? He goes, you're setting an industry standard that's unachievable for these other guys. So we found out that the other companies are using a lower grade of plastic than what we receive. Our stuff is like abrasives, tested, it's made to withstand all these pressures and stuff like that, whereas the stuff that they're using is kind of like second rate. And so that's where you see the difference between not only our beat-in process, right, where we don't really have one compared to everybody else, among other things, and sourcing. So our pellets themselves cost more because it's a higher quality and it's easier to get that way. Easier per se, right? Obviously there's shortages in areas, but we have not been deeply affected like the rest of the industry has, simply because our stuff is different.
Right.
So you're not, not as competitive with,
Right, exactly. So
Yeah,
we don't have to fight for bottom. It's kind of like when NASA builds the space station. They go, okay, who's gonna bid the highest on our lowest quality thing here? And then everybody bids, and it's like, great, you've got you've got somebody who's paying the top dollar for the lowest amount of work or lowest quality work they can do. Essentially.
Yeah.
So
And that's,
like
it's,
I said, again.
and it's nice not to have your hand in the same cookie jar as everybody else too. I mean, you're pulling from a different cookie jar altogether. I mean, maybe from a different bakery in a different state, you know?
Yeah. That's the beauty of it is I don't really get too deep into that. It's a huge trust thing for me where I can just go, hey, glow season's coming up. How much glow do we have? And they go, more than we need. And I go, fantastic. I go, yeah, that's great because everybody else is struggling to find glow or just now making, we've always had what I consider, obviously, the best glow on the market. And then you go, well, everybody else is just now coming around to finding stuff that lasts longer than 30 seconds. And you're going, okay, good job, guys. Like, it's super cool to be at that point already and just go, man, I remember sitting back, I think it was about 2 months ago, and I turned to everybody and said, everybody, take a deep breath and just like remember this moment because we're taking off. We're absolutely rocket shipping, and we're blowing past other companies that have been doing this for 5-10 years, and we've only been around competitively, right? We only really started getting serious about 1.5 years ago.
Yeah. I remember one of the first discs I bought was a Glow MIDI, and I took it outside. It was outdoor disc golf. I took it outside. I've been throwing Castoplast MVP for a while, and I took it outside in the sunlight just for a little bit, and I walked into the bathroom there because that's the darkest place, and I said, wow, this is amazing. Like on par or better than those companies.
And the time that it does last. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the time that it does last, for me, putting it in our photo booth and even pulling it out broad daylight, you can still see it glow. It's from my experience in the discs that we have, it's second to none as far as the glow goes. I would
appreciate that.
Yeah, I would say is if for those disc golfers that are out there and want a good, long-lasting glow, I used to say Castoplast, but now it's Lone Star. If you can find a Lone Star mold that jives with you, grab it. I mean, and you can because there's a ton of them right now. I mean, what do you have right now? About 18 or something like that?
Oh, goodness. I think we just made our 24th.
The 24? Okay.
Because I just saw you had 4. You just had 4 approved, right?
I've got the Blue Bonnet, which I just announced. I'll be probably sending out an email to all the dealers tomorrow, heads up.
Okay. Is that a shallow content. Beaded putter?
It may or may be a beaded putter.
Oh, okay.
It's not.
Oh, okay. Get my hopes up.
So the question is, when are you guys dropping this episode?
This will be Friday or Monday.
Yeah, maybe Monday.
Okay, so I'm going to put out the video for the Blue Bonnet teaser, I think, on Thursday. Well, tomorrow is Thursday.
Tomorrow is Thursday, yeah.
The video tomorrow.
Awesome.
If not, here's an exclusive for your guys' podcast here. The Blue Bonnet is going to be a 2-speed, 3-glide, 0 turn, and 1 fade. It will be a medium depth beadless putter that is stable. You can jam on it super hard, super flat, and it goes laser straight for a long time.
Okay.
Nice.
So what family are we putting that in when you're talking about families?
So this would be closer to, so if you think about the Ranger, right? So this would be closer to a Ranger or closer to it's kind of like a breed of its own. The MIDI is overstable enough that I would consider we don't really have anything that's like 9-speed that would be overstable. So let's see. I would consider this to be like the Warbird of putters.
Okay.
So
as I say, like Chupacabra is pretty overstable.
But it's not. Yeah, the Chupacabra, that thing is like insane.
It is.
The story of that goes that if you guys don't have a Chupacabra, everybody needs to pick one up because it's probably the most fun disc you've ever thrown.
Oh man, it's crazy.
The Chupacabra, we had all of our pros coming to us, right? Hey, this disc is pretty flippy, and I don't know why this one flips on me. We had the Dos Ex already. We made the Dos Ex, and they said, Mad Cat's too flippy. It'll turn, it'll do this. And we're like, us mortal arms, right? The guys that throw, even I throw 400, right? And I'm like, the Mad Cat Slippy, are you guys insane? Well, they throw 500.
Mm-hmm.
So they're putting extra spin, extra torque. And we go, okay. Terry goes, I'm going to make a disc that no one will be able to turn over. And I said, okay, like what are we talking, like tilt? Or what are we talking? He goes, just trust me on this one. He makes the Chupacabra. I bring the pros up. The pros throw the Chupacabra. We walk back to the shop. Terry pulls up, rolls the window down, looks at Charlie Moore in his face, and he goes, did you turn it over? He goes, nope. And he goes, okay, rolls the window up and drives off.
That's fantastic.
That was all he cared about was, did we have a 9-speed disc that a pro couldn't turn over? Great.
Told you.
Release it to the public. Chupacabra.
That's great.
I picked up when it first came out. I picked up the flattest one I could find. I was like, I like throwing them, and I threw it. And I was like, I kind of have a noodle arm, so it immediately it was straight and then just dumped, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. It's like literally the perfect. I equate it to it's our walker but longer, right?
Yeah.
It's that super overstable, reliable, dumpy 9-speed disc that you need in your bag, where you're like, hey, I'm not worried about this 40-mile-an-hour headwind. I'm not worried about how much anti-angle or off-axis torque that I'm going to put on this disc. It's going to go and fade as hard as possible towards the end of its flight.
Mm-hmm. And it does that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and it does. And guess what? That's exactly what Terry wanted, right?
Yep.
When we're coming out with stuff, there's so many amazing stories behind the stamp name, behind what discs were created and for what purpose. I mean, the history of the company, I told him, I said, I love going on these podcasts because all of the amazing information and stories that we have behind a family-owned business blows me out of the water, where I just go, man, if everybody knew this, they would love it even more. You'd go, man, Lone Star's so cool because they made the whole reason Chupacabra was made because all their pros were, complaining the disc was too flippy. So Terry said, all right, watch this.
Yeah.
Here you go, guys. What you've always wanted.
Kind of a hold my beer moment,
Yeah.
Quite literally, where it was like, hey, we made this overstable disc, and they said, well, it's not overstable enough. The first iteration of the Tombstone, just so you guys know, was insanely overstable because they said we want a Chupacabra but longer. Well, a longer Chupacabra means it's way more like, if you don't spin it to a 14 speed or a 13 speed, it's not going to fly like it's supposed to. And so
right.
The amount of people in real life that actually have a 13-speed arm is very small.
Very.
And so we actually had to adjust the mold to work with that, where you go, okay, it's reliable overstability. It's not just like out of your hand, it just dumps.
Right. Yep. So you talk about your pros and your team, and I've seen a few. You have an MP40 player that one of our owners actually, one of the 4 guys that own, played with at. Was that Ledgestone he played with him at, or
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, he played at Ledgestone. Yeah, this past year, and then so. Where do you see yourself going as far as sponsorship goes? Are you out there looking for a big move this offseason to try to pick up maybe not a top tier, but even just a second tier, like a Chandler Fry or anything? I keep trying to push Chandler Fry on you guys. I've said it a couple times.
I know.
But
man, I tell you what, again, the cool part for us is that we've grown so much and so many people have taken notice that the outpour of love from both AMs and pros has been such an experience for us. And so obviously Chandler Kramer has been absolutely killing it out on tour. Second place finish at Butler County Classic, 2 fifth place finishes out at Sula and whatever the other one, European Open.
Yeah.
And then he's obviously a lot of top 10s, right? So he's been up there, and you just go, kid that came out of nowhere throwing forehands that, wears basketball shorts.
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to be rocking with Chandler next year as well, and then
good.
Man, we've had so many pros come out of the woodwork and approach us, just going, "Hey, I love the aspect that you guys have of being a family-owned business. You care what your players." We actually had some people get jealous at Belton. Our first professional course we ever went to and set up and vended at was the Belton Open, the Open at Belton, excuse me, and we had pros walking up to our booth going, "Hey man, like the vibe that you guys give off is like you care more about your players than anything." And we're like, we're not here to make money. We're here to support our players, and we're here to get the name out about our product because we have a 20x10 tent with a 10x10 that has a cooler and chairs and stuff. So all of our pros will be finishing up and they're just coming and hanging out and just like telling us about how their round was, or explaining discs to people. And so it's really like a culture that we've sort of developed where pros are approaching us more than we're approaching pros, which is freaking awesome because that makes it a lot easier for us to go, hey, you know what? Yeah, we'd love to have you on our team. And, if you want to be a part of our family, right? You're not just a number out there to us. You're not just a PDGA rating and a finals finish. You're also who you are as a person. A great example of that is one of my good friends now, Leah Sinagini. We wanted Leah because she represents herself so well out on the disc golf course. She's a PDGA board member. She goes out there. She's so friendly to everyone that she meets. She tells everybody about the armadillo. She is like, to me, my favorite FPO player out there, simply because of the fact that she is so kind and giving. She realizes that once her round is over, she still has a role to play. She still wants to go out there, take care of, the people that are there to watch her, and those that support her at the same time. So getting pros this year is easy for us. I think it's weird because a lot of these guys that you're seeing that are approaching, I'm like, okay, I thought you were going to be with this company like for the rest of your life, and then you're coming to us going like, hey, this company kind of sucks.
Ooh.
And I'm like, no, but I like that company quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then obviously we're going to be making some big moves in the off season. In fact, I just got done writing 2 or 3 of the contracts of people that we're adding to the team next year that are going to be going on tour.
Oh, dang.
And our amateur side of the team is growing. So we invited everybody from our 2022 team, which is 215 members.
Holy cow.
To reapply, and if they reapply, they instantly get back on the team. And then we're going to have open applications dropping 9/15. So tomorrow is Thursday, so 9/15 applications will be open to the public for everyone to apply.
Great.
And they will stay open until the end of November, I believe.
Shane, let's apply.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm saying, the biggest thing is our Ranger team has been so good to us. This year we had a Ranger and a tournament team, and they've been so supportive, and we love giving back to them. And so we've done like exclusive drops behind the scenes for them, and a lot of early access, like, hey, if you guys want to meet us at this event that 50% of you are going to, we'll get you guys early access to such and such a disc 2 weeks before they drop to the public. Like, we always go out of our way to make sure that our team feels just as much a part of our family as we are locally. So very cool stuff.
That's
great.
Cool. And that's inside the company as well, I'm assuming, because that type of nature just doesn't happen. So I would assume that this is happening in the 4 walls as well, correct?
Yeah, again, I can't say enough about the Dillard family. It's funny, I've worked with small business for the past, 10 years. I've been working with small businesses. None of them have been family owned, where all of the family, right, works together in the same spot. And so you get your typical, brother, sister, or brother, where they're like talking, oh, how was your weekend? Oh, the kid's good. And oh, I'm this, St. John's about to have a baby. And so congratulations to St. John and his family. And so it's funny where it's like, oh, I got to go to the doctor because I'm going to do this. And it's like, okay, like, we're going to go play around a disc golf after work today. Or like, it's such a weird dynamic where other companies, it's like, well, okay, when we're off, everybody's off. And it's a small company. So like, it doesn't really matter what you do. Right?
Yeah.
I encourage everybody at one point in time in your life, you need to work for a small business where the owner is in the same office you are, because it's a completely different experience where you have direct access to the people who make big decisions, right? And so they've trusted me to be one of those people that makes decisions, but I always rely on Terry and the Dillards. And it's true. Terry, he's the dad, and he's, obviously a little bit older. He makes, I would say, 90% of the major decisions for the company. And he, to me, embodies who I want to be when I'm older, right? I'm a driver. I go. I've done a million things today, and I want to do a million more before I go to bed. I actually, once we get done with this podcast, I have to pack for a brother's trip getaway to Flying Armadillo Disc Golf Course. So in that point, I'm always driving, right? Well, Terry's the first person I've met that outpaces me. He's the guy sitting passenger seat, letting me drive, and he's pushing his hand down on my knee going, why aren't you driving faster? So it's really, again, a blessing that I have the Dillards here in my life, and they're at Lone Star to support their business, and that they've given me kind of the grandstand here to shout from the heavens like, hey, Lone Star's awesome. Look at all the cool stuff we get to do, and just be a part of it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and you embody that. Anytime I've ever had conversations with you, or even emails or everything, I mean, you have been not a yes man in a negative way, but you've just been like, let's figure this out. Let's go for it. You know, because it's like, hey, you guys do custom stamp? Absolutely, for sure. Let's figure this out. You know, and it just
Right, yeah, like
yeah, it's been great working with you guys. And you know, I got an email, and I don't know where it came from or how it came to me. I assumed it was influencer realm, like you were just kind of reaching out to disc golf influencers or whoever it was. But it was either an email or a message just saying, hey, you want to apply and we'll send you some information over. And I said, yeah, why not? And I wish I would have jumped on it sooner, because I don't think I ended up getting any of your discs until probably June or July, when you guys reached out to me while I was in Vegas. I was at LVC. And I was just like, this is fantastic. And I just really wish I would have came out sooner and put them in the shop a lot sooner. But, you know, it was just one of those things we were like, do we have the money right now in the off season? Like, okay, we'll hold off. And, you know, but
I think that's the cool part too, is we started off so small, right? So 800 likes on Facebook, 800 likes on Facebook in January. And I'm sitting there, I'm going, okay, I told Terry that we would have 10,000 by November. And he said, you really think we're going to hit 10,000? Now, obviously, it's mid-September, and we've hit that goal, which is awesome, because I'm a month and a half early. And he's given me some other goals for 2023 that are lofty, but I know that we can hit them. And so it's always funny to hear that, like, you know, first week of January, all my emails going out of like, hey, like, we want to work with you, like, we're an up-and-coming brand. And there were people that were just like, yeah, like, you're not big enough yet, or we don't want to stock you.
Right.
And they've messaged me recently and been like, hey, like, I love seeing the success that you guys have been going through. Chandler's been playing so well. You know, we would love to have your brand in our store. And I think that's a little part of the humility aspect that you know, I'm very proud that I was kind of raised this way, because 90% of people would go, oh, you didn't want me when I was, you know, just a little guy. And instead I'm like, thank you so much for coming back. Like, I'm just appreciative that you're here, you know? And so, yeah, I do love hearing those stories of just like, it's only a proof to me that we've put in the work to get to where we're at, right? It wasn't like an overnight success. And so I appreciate you sharing that with me, because it's true, right? You have to prove yourself in any industry that your stuff works, that your stuff is good, that you can sell it, before you just go out there and ask everybody if they want to place an order. And so very cool stuff. Yeah.
And you did a great job. So let's get down to some of the, I guess, last questions here. Is where does Lone Star see themselves? I'm sure as a company, you may or may not have this kind of long-term planning, but let's say you forecast out another 5 years. Where do you see yourself sitting on that diorama of disc golf companies?
Top three, easily. We actually, so again, we've got a 5-year plan, we've got a 10-year plan, we got a 1-year plan. We've talked about where we want to be at all these different stages, because if you don't set those goals now, you have no idea what the direction of your future looks like. And so sitting down, for me, I kind of a Michael Jordan moment where it's like, and I took that personally, right? So looking at Infinite Discs, 2022, you know, top brands sold. And I'm looking at this and I keep scrolling and I keep scrolling and I keep scrolling and I go, Lone Star Disc isn't on here. And I said, all right. I said, my goal for next year, for 2023, this was beginning of 2022, so it's 2021. First thing I did was call up Dylan over at Infinite, and I said, hey, Dylan and Todd, I need you guys, you know, you approached us about selling our product before in the past, and we want to work with you guys as a distributor. And so we have 2 main distributors now that sell our product, and I cannot wait to see where we end up on the 2023, where these molds are at, because my goal is to be top 5 next year for top brands sold on Infinite. We, in fact, we're working on a couple different things with them for specialty discs that kind of fell through the cracks. They actually had an issue in their warehouse that kind of slowed things down. So we pumped the brakes on that. But, you know, we have prerogatives of 5-year goals to be top 5, 10-year goals to be top 3. And I really think that we can get there if we just keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah, I was just on Infinite's site the other day, and, you know, you can go scroll through top-rated drivers, top-rated mid-ranges, and like the Warbird. There's numerous molds that are easily rated 5 stars of the disc of Lone Star on their website because it's fantastic. Like people just it's a testament to what you guys are doing that these discs are getting rated so high.
I appreciate that. Yeah, as soon as I logged in one day, because I kind of sit on it, right? This is the part where like I get a little competitive, right? I have a competitive spirit, so I'm like, all right, who's in first? And I'm like, I think it's like Gateway's Apex or something. I'm like, come on. So I'm like, all right, for overstable distance drivers, there's that, and then it's the Warbird and then the Curl, and I'm like, okay, we're second and third, and then I scroll down to putters, and it's the penny putter and the armadillo are like, third and fourth, and I'm like, okay, like, and I just go through and I go, okay, like, as a manufacturer, I'm competing against other manufacturers, right? I don't. In my head, I think of the big guys, right? I think Discraft, Innova, MVP, the guys that are out there making their own plastics. That's who I'm concerned with, because we're growing at a rapid pace now where other people are approaching us to make their discs. And so I want those brands to succeed as well. And so when I go, well, as a manufacturer, right, I still want to be able to bring all of us up together. And if I'm not able to represent all of us well, take a Latitude, for example. If Latitude wasn't so good at making molds, they would have never gotten Dynamic. And if Dynamic wasn't so good at promoting, they would have never gone in together on getting Westside. That's the future that I project for this company, is going, hey, we want our product to speak so highly of itself that if we get a sister company or a company that's brand labeled through us, that in the future they see the value and we move up together, right? So I definitely want to have my company that I represent in the top 3, and then have all of my guys that get their plastic made through us directly below us. I want it to look like a Ferrari or a Ford 1, 2, 3 finish, right? Whatever it looks like when the time comes, right? Once we put in the work and once we've done our due diligence, that's where I want to be.
Yeah.
Right. Perfect.
Speaking of competition, you have another company in the state of Texas, Mint.
Yep, we have 2, Mint and Black Zombie.
Oh, that's right, Black Zombie. Yeah. Do you find there's pockets of Texas that are like strongly of each company, or how does competition go down in Texas, company wise?
It's like the funniest thing in the world. So, I actually love. So Garen Wooten is the owner of Black Zombie. I love Garen. We share memes all the time, back and forth. He's a workout guy. I'm a workout guy. Like, we go back and forth, and it's all like, Team Texas, man. Like, love what you're doing over there, and like whatever way we can support each other. And then it's the same way with Mint, right? So I reached out. Zach and I had kind of gotten into a conversation on Facebook, and Zach Jensen, and I messaged him. I was like, hey, just want to say, like, dude, I love the plastic. Like, your molds feel really good. And he was like, wait, really? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, well, like, you guys are doing a lot, like, of good stuff for the state of Texas and for disc golf. Like, that's super cool. And so you start to realize there's been like sects of people that are like, go Team Mint, or go Team Lone Star, or go Team Black Zombie. Meanwhile, the people that are operating the companies are like all friends with each other. Just want everybody to do good, right? So it's like, I'm sure when I go to Flying Armadillo this weekend, right, where it's Austin territory, right? So it's in Austin, and so I'm sure I'll get some people that are like, boo Lone Star or whatever, and that's going to happen, right? Sports teams, it's the same way. I think there was a scientific study done where if everybody's on Team A, you'll never have an argument. But the second that you introduce a Team B, instantly, human nature is to go, I side with this side and you suck. We see it in politics. We see it in the disc golf world, right? And so it's ironic to me that disc golf has also taken a similar stance of, some people are so pro Lone Star that they say this about this company, or some are so pro Mint or pro Black Zombie. Meanwhile, I'm over here and I'm literally reaching out to these guys. I'm like, what can we all 3 do together next year to make like a Texas tour, right? What can we do that like elevates Texas disc golf, because it is the #1 state on UDisc for a reason, right? And so that's my big thing is I tell people all the time, I'm just a golden retriever, right? I just want to be friends with everybody. I want to create, I just want to go play fetch with my friends, and I want to throw frisbees, and so.
And your belly to be rubbed.
Exactly, every now and then.
Although you're not the type of guy that would be like, squirrel.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm also that too. We gotta be careful.
Yeah.
I do get distracted pretty easily. But the biggest thing in all of that is it's funny to hear other people who aren't involved directly come to us, and maybe sometimes we hear, oh, this guy said this about your company or that guy said this, and you go, well, I'm really happy that he has an opinion, because that just proves that not only are we doing something right because we're being noticed, but also that competition is healthy. If we were the only manufacturer in Texas, it would be kind of boring, because then there would be no, my hashtags are Texas made, Texas proud.
Yeah.
And that's because we're the only manufacturer in Texas. We're the only ones that have machines, right? They're outsourced by MVP, and then Black Zombie is Gateway. And so somebody was like, well, that's derogatory. I said, it's not derogatory. It's literally a fact. We're the only ones that have
Exactly.
I told somebody, I said, guys, that's literally my marketing angles. We make our own stuff. Let me have my one thing. Mint gets to have limited runs with, they've got a cool serial number system. It's awesome stamps, right? Black Zombie, their artwork is insane. They get to really kind of flesh out their designs on their disc and kind of have fun with the names, and not really worry too much about, I've talked with Garen about this a bunch, where he's just like, dude, I just love having discs that are available that people love, that creates a culture, right? And so I think that's the cool part, is each company is so separate from each other, but they all work together the same way. Just need to figure out how to become copacetic with each other that way. So Mint Discs has their limited runs, right? They go, hey, they're just released a new Grackle, right? They released a new Grackle, and it's a limited run, and we have these glows, and we have this. And you go, great. Black Zombie is all about media, right? If you go on their page, they share a bunch of memes, they do a bunch of videos. It's more viral stuff, and it's more about the culture, right? And then me over at Lone Star, I'm just like, hey, we're making a ton of molds, we're putting pros on tours, we're just trying to basically have it so that we've got our side taken care of, and we can go to the next step, right? Which is just manufacturing in general. We love manufacturing. It's what we've been doing for 10 plus years. And so we each do something completely different. So there's no reason why we couldn't all come together and combine forces to be Texas Disc Golf and host some really cool events and work together on some stuff in the future that I think will not only elevate the sport of disc golf, but elevate disc golf in Texas. Right.
Sounds like you're a cheerleader for economies of conglomeration. So basically
I don't like calling myself the nicest guy in the world, but man, do I sure want to see everybody win. I'm such a, hey, if it's good for them, it's great. I talked to Jeremy Rusko at Dynamic Disc in Emporia, and I thanked him. I said, Jeremy, what you've done in Emporia is one of the coolest things I have ever seen, right? It's not culty, right? You don't walk in there and you're like, ugh, this feels gross, right? You go there and everybody's just so excited to be a part of something, right? Something bigger than themselves, which is disc golf. And to develop that culture means that you had to have been genuine from day one, because any time that you aren't genuine, right? Let's be honest, honesty is the best policy, right? If you just tell the truth the whole time, you have nothing to hide. And so what Jeremy's done is create a super amazing culture in a college town that focuses solely on going out, throwing something in the air, and having a blast doing it. What could be wrong with that,
Right. Yeah. And the beauty
cool
of,
stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And the beauty of Lone Star coming into the game at this point too, is you have, some of these seasoned vets, these experienced companies that you can pull the good and the bad and kind of form what you guys are doing and skip some of the mistakes, and if you're not doing that, I would suggest you do.
Trust me, we have wise counsel. I think it's so weird, because I find that a lot of the ways that we run a business is the same ways that people should run their life, right? Where it's like, hey, seek wise counsel, be honest with yourself. If you just kind of follow these guidelines, you'll end up. There's a line from Quigley Down Under that my dad uses all the time. It's kind of funny. He says, what is it? If you do this, you'll have a more harmonious outcome. And you just go, you know what? If you just seek out wise counsel, be honest with yourself, and listen to what your customers are saying, you're going to have a good time. It's going to be pretty easy moving forward.
Yep. It's that humble, hungry, and smart.
Literally, exactly those three.
Yep. So that's fantastic. So anything else, JP?
No, I don't think I have any other questions.
All right, Josh, is there anything at all that we missed that you want to point out?
Man, not that I can think of. Just want to say that I'm very thankful for you guys messaging me to come on. It's been a blast. Looking forward to releasing these next 4 molds that we have throughout the rest of the year and signing all of these new amateurs and pros to our team for the 2023 season.
That's great. And then you said tomorrow the team application opens up, correct? And that's found on your site?
Yep. So tomorrow, Thursday, 9/15/2022, I will be putting the team applications live on our website, and I'll be providing the link to the form to fill out on our social medias.
Perfect. And then where, other than DoorDiscGolf.com, where can they find Lone Star?
So you can go to LoneStarDiscs.com. You can also visit, obviously, your favorite online retailer. And then you can also, we're going to be out at a couple of the majors this year. So you can find us at any NADGT finals, as well as Gateway Discs. I think, what are they calling it? The Ultimate Dubs, or whatever Gateway's calling it. Super awesome Dubs Pro event that's going to be going on in St. Louis. So you can pick that up in person as well from our booth and meet up.
Perfect. Cool. How about any of your socials? You want to share any of those?
Yep. So on Instagram, we are Lone Star Disc. On Facebook, Lone Star Discs. And then obviously on our YouTube, highly recommend subscribing because yours truly is going to be pushing out a ton of content. We've hired enough people now that I can kind of focus on the marketing side of things, and that is Lone Star Disc on YouTube.
Perfect. So Lone Star Disc across the board. No Twitter? You don't get into the Twitter battles?
You know what? I do actually get onto Twitter every now and then. Disc golf Twitter is kind of the Wild West right now.
Isn't it crazy?
It is absolutely wild, and so I get to be a little bit more uncouth, if you will, on Twitter, since it is a little bit more relaxed environment. So you can find me commenting on Twitter posts left and right as @Lone Star Disc.
Great. Well, I want to say personally from me, I appreciate what you did. I appreciate you coming on. I love hearing the background and information, and especially the company culture that you guys have. It's refreshing to hear that people are focused on people and not dollars. That's a hard stance to come by because you survive by the dollars you bring in. But I think you've really, got above that by focusing on the people, because the people are going to bring the stability to your company. So not only through the fandom, but through the money ultimately that will come in. So I commend you guys for that. And I wish you the best success, not only in the oil rig part, but also in disc golf. I really hope that your 5 and 10 year plan work out, and we'll do the best we can on our side to push as much as we feel right. Oh, you know what? Before we get off here, we were so complimentary of everything. I got to give you a chance to explain how you handled something, and I'm sure you know, but you had some parting line issues with the bull snake.
Oh, okay.
So I came across a couple feeds where you had responded back to a couple things, and I thought it was fantastic how you went about it, and that made me even more a fan. Yes, there were issues, but it's the way you guys handled them. And if you want to talk through that real quick, I'm sorry, I really wanted to get that. And I know we're kind of ending things up, but I really wanted to get that out there because I thought it was super commendable about how you went about it.
So I put out quite a few fires throughout the day, so I'm not sure the exact reference, but I can tell you the same way. Again, it's the golden rule. So I actually set up on Lone Star's website our core values, because it's what I believe we are as a company and how we represent ourselves that people see first and foremost, right? So when it comes down to the golden rule, which is treat others as you would like to be treated, it only makes sense for me to go, hey, you know what? There's an issue with the parting line. I think we had a couple that looked, I think it was like, they looked like macaroons or something. It looked like a little sandwich.
Exactly.
And, and so for me, it was just like, well, hey, like this is not up to our standards. And so I apologize for that. And so you just let me know how we can help, and I'm all for it. You know, I think integrity is huge. The core values: integrity, know and do what is right; respect, treating others the way you want to be treated; responsibility, which is embracing opportunities to contribute; sportsmanship, and then passion, which is having love for the community. So through those core values, I can basically go, okay, Terry's enabled me to go in and say, hey, you know what? I apologize if if this isn't up to your standards. Obviously, if it's not up to yours, it's not up to ours, because we hold ourselves to a high enough standard that I want you to respect me and my product. And so I'll go out of my way and do that stuff. I basically live on Facebook, right? And so I see these posts all the time that are, hey, Lone Star's the best out there, and this is great, and this is that. So if I do ever see one that is subpar, I always go out of my way to make sure that we take care of those people. And so Barb in the back, who is info@LoneStarDiscs, she'll get those emails where I'll say, hey, just email info@LoneStar, and they'll get you taken care of. We really like to go out of our way and make sure that if you spent the money to get something you believe is a quality product, that at the end of the day, you receive a quality product.
Right. And ultimately, that is exactly how I saw it handled. And once again, I gave it a big thumbs up, and I just said, man, like, this is the way to go about it. Because a lot of times some of these things are ignored. Something comes out super puddle top, something comes out, and people just aren't happy with the product. They just say, well, wait till the next run,
Right. And on top of that, in an industry now that has so many brands, that's how we stand out, just by being ourselves and just going, hey, like, you're not just a dollar number to us. You might be a customer, but you're a part of Lone Star now because you have that mold in your bag, and we appreciate that.
Yep. And you've done a fantastic job with that. So I just want to give you a chance to kind of express that, and also just give you my congratulations on actually handling it the way that I feel that every company should handle it. So
thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else, JP?
Nope, good.
All right, Josh. Well, we've hogged up about an hour and 10 minutes of your time, so we really appreciate it. And best of luck, best of success, and hopefully we run into each other out there somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure we'll see you guys either out on tour at LDC or at any of these events. As always, keep throwing that Lone Star plastic, and I'll see you guys on the next podcast.
Awesome. Sounds good, Josh. Have a good day.
See ya.
Thanks.